Daniel Lakaye, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you very much.
So Daniel, China's exports have dropped again, this time by 8.8% in August. This is continuing a trend since April. What is driving this trend?
I think that what drives this trend is the very significant slowdown of the global economy and particularly the Eurozone. We have to remember that China is a very large exporter to countries like Germany, which is in recession, countries that are in the developed nations suffering from a weaker environment for manufacturing. Obviously, China certainly provides a significant amount of the imports for those countries in the manufacturing sector. The manufacturing sector in developed nations is in contraction for what is now more than 10 months.
And given that China is the world's second largest economy, how do their economic woes impact, say, America?
Well, certainly the challenges of the Chinese economy impact the United States in two ways. On the one hand, the Chinese imports into the United States, i.e. the Chinese exports to the United States, are going to be probably cheaper. We're going to see some deflation in imports into the United States. The second, obviously, is that nobody benefits from the slowdown of any of the large economies. So we already know that when the United States enters into a recession, there is a fear of recession in many other economies we are all interconnected. So obviously, a slowdown in the Chinese economy, although it is expected to grow about 5% this year, is certainly going to impact Asia and certainly Latin America very significantly, and obviously the United States to a lesser extent.
And Daniel, new projections by Bloomberg Economics says China's economy may never overtake the U.S. That's after previous research had said China's economy might surpass the U.S. as soon as 2028. What changed here?
I think that ultimately what changed was the estimates of growth coming from the real estate and construction sector, massive infrastructure spending. I think that is what was probably mistaken in some of consensus estimates, the idea that the Chinese economy would completely offset the manufacturing and construction part of the economy with the service economy to generate no discernible impact on annual growth. So obviously it sheds between 2 to 2.5 points per annum of growth, and that leads to the revision that Bloomberg was estimating.
And what about on the U.S. economy's side? Has it gained any strength, or is it still the same?
Well, at the same time, that's a very good point. At the same time, the U.S. economy was predicted to enter into a recession this year. It is very likely that it will not happen. The U.S. economy seems to be a lot stronger and is probably going to deliver in the third quarter a level of growth that is much larger than what estimates were already included in consensus. However, we don't know if there will be a recession in 2024, but at least so far, what everyone can say is that the doom and gloom predictions about a huge recession in the United States in 2023 is not happening, and that maybe the estimates for 2023 will continue to put the United States significantly above the Eurozone, which is a very important part, because if you remember a few years ago in the middle of the pandemic, most of consensus estimates assumed that the Eurozone would get out and faster and better of the crisis than the United States because of the enormous stimulus packages that they implemented and the furlough job plans, etc. It was the opposite. So the United States is surprising to the upside. China is surprising on the negative side because of this contraction in real estate and exports. And in the middle, the Eurozone is not surprising almost anyone because the Eurozone is not growing at all.
Wow, indeed. And Daniel Lacalle, thank you so much for your time.